What is going on, people? Today I am finally getting into Incredibles 2 on Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD, and I got that coming up for you next. So, people, at the beginning of this month, things were really crazy and a lot of things were coming out, so Incredibles 2 kind of got pushed off. Up until now, I'm getting into the Blu-ray and the 4K Blu-ray, starting off with the Blu-ray just because that's where I always start off with new releases like this. And with that being said, this Blu-ray looks really damn good. It takes all of the colorful nature that this movie has and really packs a punch with it, and it starts right from the get-go with all of the bright colors where all of the Incredibles family is teaming up against the Mole Man. I think that's what he calls himself. I forget that guy's name. But yes, that scene has some incredible colors to it and a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail in the clothing that wasn't there in that first film, and a lot of detail in facial features as well. As far as detail goes with animated films, this is actually one of the best in my collection just because, you know, this is just really some next level stuff. And that continues along to the shadow details here. The shadow detail here is actually the standout. When Mrs. Incredible goes into the villain's drilling machine and she is taking out all of the mechanisms that are in place, there's a lot of shadows and it's very inky, but at the same point in time, it has a lot of detail to it. This is actually a very strong video transfer here that also has some really great dimension to it that really makes it look almost 3D. I mean, the dimension here is something that is just excellent. The foreground really pops away from the background here. And yeah, I'll give this a 9 out of 10. This is one of the better animated films to come out recently as far as how they look goes. I haven't been that impressed with animated films if you look back at my channel, and this one is probably the best one that I have reviewed since the channel came out. And getting into the 4K Ultra HD copy, this is where things really stand out. And I was kind of worried just because when you are talking about animation in 4K, it doesn't have that much of a difference from the Blu-ray in a lot of cases. But here, that is not the case. And I am extremely just thankful for that. You get even more detail as far as the clothing is concerned. You have a lot of the stitching on the clothing that it shows, and you get just that little inch of detail that you don't get in that Blu-ray. But where it really steps up here is with the HDR, and man, the HDR here really steps it up. And it brings the colors and the saturation to a whole new level. These colors just pop off the screen. And that black level that was also like really well used in that Blu-ray is even better used here. You get so much dimension even in darker scenes. And man, this movie looks pristine in 4K, and I absolutely love it. You get all of the markups that you would want from Blu-ray to 4K. I got to give it the same rating of a 9 out of 10, and that is just something that is really cool because it's not something that you get with 4K animation every day. And to talk about the audio here, you get a DTS HD 7.1 mix for the Blu-ray like Disney and Buena Vista usually do, and I would say that anybody that is a little worried about this audio mix, for the most part, I would say that this is actually pretty good. You get a lot of speaker separation. A matter of fact, that is actually the best that this has to offer. The speaker separation here is really outstanding, and from the left to the rights to the fronts to the backs, it is just truly, truly incredible and very seamless. It comes across as very natural as the characters move across the screen. Bass response here is excellent, and it is just a big mark up from the Incredibles Blu-ray that came out just a while ago. You can definitely hear the difference there. Surrounds are heavily, heavily used, and you really get a very dynamic track here. What I will say is I love the score of The Incredibles, and that score isn't that well represented here. It is kind of soft, and I would have liked it to have more of a punch, but that punch really went to the action scenes and not the score. It doesn't really seem like it's a seamless integration for the score in this film, and for that I am going to give this an 8 out of 10. If that score was a little bit more louder and packed a little bit more of a punch, it would be a lot higher, actually. And getting into the Dolby Atmos mix that is on that 4K Blu-ray that everybody wants to hear about, this is actually a pretty good mix. And that is because all of those qualities that I had just stated in that 7.1 mix are just stepped up here. Speaker separation is excellent because you have the addition of height speakers. So when a character walks up a flight of stairs and goes upstairs and slams their door like Violet does at one point in time, you can just hear it start from your left speaker, and then as she goes up the stairs, your left height speaker, and then she slams the door on the height speaker. It is just incredible, and there are many instances like that where they use the height speakers to really enhance just everyday scenes that aren't action really well. And the action scenes do use the height speakers to great effect. Bass response is even more dynamic than the 7.1 mix, bringing that really truly to this Atmos mix. And overall, just speaker separation is top notch here. This is a very dynamic sound of field that really immerses you, but unfortunately, again, this score just isn't that well represented here. It is soft. So during action scenes, it just doesn't pack the punch that I want it to. And that Incredibles 4K Blu-ray that came out a couple of months ago in Atmos, when the film came out in theaters, I felt like the score was better represented there than it is here, and it is just lacking. It is just very soft, and it doesn't really pack a punch, and it doesn't use that much of the subwoofer, or it doesn't have that much bass response, to be quite honest with you. And for that, I am going to give this another 8 out of 10. This could have been more. I was generally happy with this, but then they pulled out the score, and it was just lackluster, so I had to ding it on that. And getting into the digital copy here, Disney gives us a Movies Anywhere digital copy and does their usual weirdness where they actually give you the 4K with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos as the digital copy that you can redeem on iTunes and on Vudu. And it is just weird because they don't actually offer Dolby Vision on the disc. And this is something that they have been doing for quite a few releases now. And I mean, it's good. It offers you something better in the digital copy. It's just weird that they don't put it on the disc. But hey, it is something that you guys can look forward to. And getting into the special features here, there is a lot to talk about. Starting with an audio commentary that is on the 4K disc and on the Blu-ray, and it is Brad Bird, our director here, and a group of the animators talk about the film and are pretty honest about the struggles that they had making this film and how they really wanted to push their own limits. And this is just a really cool, very frank audio commentary that I definitely did enjoy. And then you have a whole slew of featurettes. None of them are that long, but they are distributed between the Blu-ray and the extra bonus features Blu-ray, and they go into the making of this film and the animation, and you have the voice actors. There is a cool short that goes into the coolest guy in the room, and that is, of course, Sam Jackson. There is a new short that actually comes with this, and the short that was in theaters before this film is here. You have a short that went into, I believe, some of the writers. They had a short film before this, so they talked about that a little bit. There is a lot to watch here. A lot of it isn't that long, but there is a decent amount here. I will give this I'll give this a 7 out of 10. This is a very reasonable amount of special features. They're not all on the 4K disc, but they at least put the audio commentary on there so you can watch it in 4K while you're watching your 4K movie. And as for my last looks here, look, I really liked Incredibles 2. I know that some people didn't like the fact that Mr. Incredible was taking a back seat, but I actually thought that with the politics of today and, you know, all of that stuff, I thought it was really cool to see somebody else take the mantle and see what Mrs. Incredible could do. And she can do a lot. She is actually a really cool part of this movie, and to see this family progress and to see Jack come to his own where he just has all of those crazy powers that they have in this movie, I really dug coming back to see these characters, and this movie really didn't disappoint me. And if you didn't see my video review for Incredibles 2, I gave it a 9 out of 10. You can check that out in my recent videos down below, and it will be right there for you. And when you add up all my scores for The Incredibles 2 on Blu-ray and 4K, you come out to the same score of a 33 out of 40. What do you know, Disney? When you actually put out a good product with good a video transfer and a decent enough audio transfer, then you get a good grade, and that's what I gave this movie. I definitely did enjoy coming back to this, and I just really enjoyed it. So I do have to move on to a whole lot of Stallone. I am going to be doing a video about the new Rocky films going into Creed 2, and I'll have to put together something for you guys. I'm not sure what that will be, but I am thinking it's something that is going to be a little new and a little exciting, so definitely pay attention for that video coming out right after this one. And then I have to get into those First Blood films that came out last week in 4K. I can't wait to talk about that. I have been loving going back to these Rambo films, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So subscribe. I have a lot of things coming out. Everybody loves Sylvester Stallone. So subscribe so you know when those videos come out. You know you want to hear me talking about them. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome, and I will see all of you next time.